Hey, what do you say, ladies and gentlemen? Dan and I are excited to introduce our Buy Me a Coffee page. We've had a lot of listeners reach out and say, hey there, bub, we really appreciate what you do and want to support the show. Well, here's one way to do that without big corporations taking, 30% of the cut of your generosity. Just head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/BigBlueBanter and chip in if you'd like to support us directly. Every contribution means a lot, and it helps keep the show going strong. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for listening, and have a lovely day.
Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter, New York Giants football podcast. I'm Dan Schneider, joined as always my co-host Nick Filato. Today we're going to get to a few different things. We will get to a preview of the Giants matchup against the San Francisco 49ers this weekend. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about what 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan, who I believe is one of, if not the top offensive minds in the NFL, said about Jaxson Dart, and then run through a cut-up of plays I made after listening to Kyle Shanahan that kind of pinpoint and describe exactly what Kyle Shanahan is talking about when he watches the tape of Jaxson Dart. He said, I've watched a lot of tape of his at the NFL level. We also want to discuss a little bit on this show today, Nick, before getting to the preview, Dexter Lawrence's response to Carl Banks' comments, and then some comments from other Giants players, including Patterson Okereke, who had something to say about this whole situation as well. And then where we stand on not only the criticism of Dexter Lawrence and his response, but what this might mean moving forward for Dexter Lawrence and the New York Giants, and just the general feel, I think, for the locker room. Before we do any of that, though, Nick, I do want to ask you, how are you doing today, my friend?
Yo, I'm doing well today. It's nasty outside here in Queens, but overall, I'm doing well.
It's seasonal depression is a real thing. I'm just going to say that. And for me, it's even realer thing because it means golf is over. I look outside, Nick, and I'm like, what am I going to do with myself now that I can't be on a golf course? And I don't know the answer to that just yet. What I do know is, it's a quick shout out.
Book.
No, I'm not going to read a book. I should read a book. I don't even know if I remember how to read. No, Nick, I feel like Rob Schneider in Big Daddy. I can't read. Hip Hop Anonymous. But maybe one day I will read. I'll read a golf book, actually. But one quick shout out to a listener of ours. I don't know if he wants to be mentioned on the show, but this community is so cool, Nick. I thought I would mention this today. A listener of ours has offered to take me out this coming Saturday if the weather prevails, and it should be a decent day Saturday, to his country club to play a round of golf. So I'm very excited about that. It'll be the first round I ever play with a listener of Big Blue Banter or the other podcast. So I'm very excited about that. But one more thing first, before we do any of this, something new is happening and something new is brewing for us at Big Blue Banter. And what we're doing is taking this community we've built, and it's pretty obvious and pretty awesome. Looking at every single episode, the comments in the YouTube section, they're firing away. You guys are so active in our YouTube section. I call for mailbag questions. I get a ton. And I like to see in the YouTube comments people talking about not just what we talk about, but just their thoughts about the New York Football Giants in real time. But it's never actually in real time. It's just a reaction to our show, a live reaction to the game or us during the week. So what I want to do here is, and what Nick and I decided we want to do is create another place for the community to talk Giants football. And maybe a place where it's not just you leave a YouTube comment and then it goes into the ether, or you leave a comment and maybe Nick or I will respond. A place where it's a chat room, essentially, a chat experience for Giants fans, for Big Blue Banter fans specifically. And so we created that. And so I'm really excited about that. If you want to join us, Nick and I are already live in this chat. You go to BigBlueBanter.chat. You can type it into your browser online, or you could type it into your phone. BigBlueBanter.chat. And after you do that, it will click you right through to an app where you'll download. And once you do that, you'll be invited to and a part of our chat that we're already in right now. And so essentially, we're hoping this chat will be a place. There is a, admin chat, which you can ask us questions there, but there's also just a general chat where Nick and I will be, and you guys will hopefully be. And what we want is this chat to be a place where you can talk Giants football all week, but also during the games. That could be really fun. And Nick and I want to get involved there too. So do us a favor, type in BigBlueBanter.chat if you want to join this community and talk football with us. And upcoming, if you do join this chat, we will be doing a ticket giveaway on this chat. We haven't fully decided which game yet, probably sometime a little bit later down the season, but you will have a chance to get in this chat and potentially get free tickets to a Giants football game. And we're just really excited about it. It's basically an extension of our community. So again, anything else you want to add on this, Nick?
No, I just love talking football with all the wonderful listeners that we have. And this is just a way to streamline this outside of social media. It's much more about the community of the Big Blue Banter listeners. I don't have a cool term for that. Big Blue Banterite sounds a little bit weird. Don't love it. So we're just going to go with Big Blue Banter listeners so we can all just chop it up and have a good time during the game, after the game, all throughout the week. It'll be I'm excited about it. I'm glad that we're launching this.
I'm very, very excited about it because it's different than YouTube. It's a much more user-friendly format. It's essentially like being in a WhatsApp or something like that, or a group me, but just with us. Instead of your buddies, it's with us and all of our people here. And yep, we will even invite this and extend this to other fans who listen to our show. Because you know what, Nick, sometimes I pop in the comments and I see like Eagles fans here or other fans when we do, reviews of games or something like that. So it's really open to anybody, but if you are an Eagles fan and we catch you, you might be banned. Just kidding, but not really. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we previewed earlier. And I want to start here by discussing Kyle Shanahan's comments on Jaxson Dart.
You guys like Jaxson Dart during the draft process, and have they done a good job in sort of doing some of the things he did in Mississippi with Lane that he's doing now?
Yeah, I've watched more of him in his NFL film than college film. But I've been real impressed with them. They're mixing a lot of RPOs and stuff, which I think is really good for him. And he's got a good feel for him. And he's been real impressive watching the tape. He's got a very good knack for off-schedule plays, attacking while scrambling. You drop any of your players in coverage, he finds them. His vision is pretty elite when it comes to seeing holes in the defense when he gets outside that pocket. And just watching him even play in the pocket, too. He knows how to play quarterback, and he's been extremely impressive so far.
On day 2 of the draft, did you guys consider or have conversations in your war room at all about possibly drafting Thibodeaux? And what did you think of him when you saw him on film at ASU?
Yes, we did, and we loved him. He was awesome.
He is uber talented. I understand why Dayball went to the blue tent. I probably would have went too. I mean, kid's good, man. He's a really, really, really good kid. I think New York hit on this one big time. But he's dynamic, he's decisive, he's accurate. He's been a joy to watch over these, just studying his tape over the last, he's been, 5 starts now. So, and they're doing a really good job with him. They're asking him, there's certain things they're asking of him, but they're doing a good job hiding it within their weekly game plans. And, I've always thought Dayball's done a really good job, him and Kafka, and they put a lot of strain on defenses, and this kid he's going to be special.
All right, Nick, after listening to Kyle Shanahan say that, I decided to make a cut up of my favorite 5 off-script throws from Jaxson Dart this season. And these are all plays where, as Kyle Shanahan said, he has this knack for attacking the defense when they drop people in coverage, knowing where people are dropping coverage, this ability to attack space and having an understanding of where players will be as he's moving off script and scrambling, as Kyle Shanahan would say. And you could just see it in this cut up. These are just my 5 favorite from the year. He's had more than these, but these were the best in my mind. And it's just cool to watch this ability. I know there's a lot that I like about Jaxson Dart so far in his rookie season. To me, this is up there because it's just, as you've described, innate, and it leads them to get into these situations, because a lot of these were like 3rd downs, by the way, when I cut it up, but get into these situations where they're creating plays that wouldn't be there or that aren't there in structure. It's up there for me. I still think my favorite part of Jaxson Dart so far is just that he's making all these pre-snap checks and killing all these plays in the line of scrimmage and changing plays. Like I can't believe he's doing that already as a rookie. But man, this ability to create off script, it's super impressive.
This is the backyard football that was commonly associated with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen early in their career. And we're already seeing that with Jaxson Dart. Look, we want him to play within structure, right? And we've seen him play within structure, but this is, again, innate is the word that I'd like to use, because you could see it comes naturally to him to keep his eyes downfield, to have this overall awareness, the spatial awareness in the pocket of where the threats are, where his blocks are, where to run to maximize said blockers. And it's something that I just don't see from every quarterback that I watch. This is an excellent trait to have. This isn't everything, but having this trait, and then if he's able to put everything else together, which we've already seen signs of, I think that is the makeup of what could be an elite quarterback, especially if Jaxson Dart ends up really mastering the mechanics of throwing the football to unlock more velocity, which will provide more arm strength and all of that. And this isn't, I don't think us being hyperbolic at all. I think this is exactly what we wanted to see from this rookie quarterback when he got on the football field, was the ability to just make plays, bro. It really just comes down to that, like to steal a good old Eli Manning phrase. Oh, you just got to go out there and make plays. Jaxson Dart is going out there and he's making plays without Malik Neighbors and without Cam Scatterville.
I think that's the best way to describe it. He's making plays that are not there, and that's the reality of the situation. These are not designed. Every play you watch here was not designed to be thrown to the place it was going to. It was off script. The play is off schedule. The timing is off, and we've seen a lot of times in the past evaluating quarterbacks where when the play is off off schedule, and it's not on time. Let's say the coverage was good, or just the quarterback didn't see it on time, or he didn't come to the other side of the field. At times there's been no solution, specifically with Eli Manning. We'd see some of those turtle sacks toward the end of his career where you just kind of have to take the sack, or, we've seen other quarterbacks break pocket right. And as they're breaking pocket right, they're just running right. Their eyes aren't moving downfield. They're just running right. And once they get toward the sideline, they look up for a second and maybe there's something by the sticks in the sideline. They've already cut off half the field. I feel like when Jaxson moves out of the pocket, in and out of the pocket, the whole field's still available to him, given his innate ability to understand space and where it is. And that's a crazy thing, man, to have the whole field available to you on some of these off-script plays and the ability to throw the football. That's where you start to see the Mahomes comparison. I don't see a lot of Mahomes in Dart, but there are two aspects of Dart's game where I really do see Mahomes. The first one is what you said. It's that ability to kind of create off script and understand where the space is. The second one is that 3-4 throw, that baseball throw that he has from playing baseball in his background. And Mahomes has that as well. And you saw that on this cut up. You saw that on the Wan'Dale throw against the Broncos. You saw that even right there to Slayton. That's a little bit of a 3-4 to Chuck right there. I mean, he has that ability to, in my mind, change his arm slot, which gives him more ability to drive the football when his feet aren't set. I still think I'm with you. I want him to get the mechanics and the footwork aligned for those in-pocket throws. But when he's out of the pocket, it's never going to be like he did do it against the Eagles last week on that rollout to Wan'Dale, the first throw on that cut up. He did kind of square his shoulders, not his feet, but he did. You can see him kind of slow down a little bit, square his shoulders, and then rip that throw. So there are times where he can slow it down a little bit and square his shoulders, but he doesn't always need to.
No, he doesn't always need to. And look, there's a lot of positives to take away, and this stuff can come back and bite you in the rear end. But one thing is for certain, especially with what Kyle Shanahan said as we heard him, Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, is going to have some contingencies in his defensive game plan to try to mitigate Jaxson Dart extending plays. And what is that going to do? That is going to open up other opportunities for the offense, and it's going to put just more of a burden on this injured defense that the 49ers have. Like the 49ers are decimated by injuries right now. I don't know exactly who is going to play, but like some of their top level guys will not be there. Obviously, Fred Warner and Nick Bosa being two of them. These backups are going to have to account, and I'm sure like Saleh is going to drill this into their head. Look, when this guy breaks pocket, you got to contain him. You got to do something, and that is, you want your opponents to fear that in you if you're a starting quarterback, and Jaxson Dart already commands that level of respect from his opponents.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you hear it from all these coaches, Sean Payton, Vic Fangio, and now Kyle Shanahan. Let's get to some of the numbers too, some of these charts that I've seen circulate, and let's talk a little bit about that. We can start with, if you have it up here, Nick, this first
we're pulling it up right now. We're pulling it up.
And while we do that, here we go. So this is Jaxson Dart in the intermediate range. And this doesn't show it fully here, but you can kind of see if you just focus in on that 10 to 19-yard range throw. Jaxson Dart leads the NFL with an 88% on-target ball placement percentage on intermediate throws, 10 to 19 yards. That's the area of the field we love to see him attack at Ole Miss, and he liked to attack. And that's the area of the field where he's really been really good this season. And I think when you're facing a defense like the 49ers, some of these beat-up defenses, it's an area of the field where the Giants can take advantage of.
Absolutely. And the next closest is Jaden Daniels at 82.9%. So you're talking about a pretty almost 5 percentile point difference there between Jaden Daniels or a little bit more and Jaxson Dart, right? So he's excelling when it comes to targeting the middle of the field. But as you saw from the cut-ups that you made, how many of those were outside the numbers? And the thing I like about Jaxson Dart so much too, when we're talking about him breaking pocket, he goes one way and he forces the defense to flow, and then he goes another way. And like his athletic ability is so underrated with this too. Like we don't think of Jaxson Dart as this like elite athlete back there, but he's a pretty damn good athlete, dude. And he has some speed to him. Now, I think there are going to be, and I think we saw this last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. There are going to be plays where he probably should have just took the simple option. Sometimes he may get a little bit greedy, and that's I'm willing to have a quarterback who is doing what he's doing right now, what Jaxson Dart's doing right now, and maybe take some negative plays, but finds massive solutions that create explosive plays, rather than somebody who is just always going to be a little bit more conservative with his approach. So I'm fine with what I'm seeing from him, but this is a excellent chart to see, and there's other ones to back this up as well.
And what you just described is quite literally what we've been asking for the last every year we've covered this podcast, and may not be the exact right thing that everybody wants, but it's something that Nick and I want. We want players. We want players at this quarterback position who are willing to gamble, who are willing to try to take explosives, and are willing to pass up on the shorter stuff. And that's something we said he was like. We always said it when we watch his Ole Miss tape right after the draft, and then through the months leading up to the season. We're like, this guy likes to read high to low. Like, he is looking for stuff. He is not looking for the easy solution. And again, it's going to get him in trouble sometimes. That's why it's not a perfect solution or anything like that. He'll take sacks he shouldn't take, obviously, or maybe he'll throw interceptions that he shouldn't throw. But I'll just take that any day, man. I really hope no one ever coaches that out of him, because that's what I like. And this second chart is just one of the coolest ones I've seen. This is a chart that shows, I want to get up the exact, hold on, let me get up the exact criteria for this chart. I'm going to get it up. But essentially what this chart shows, and I will have it right here, is how often QBs have faced what is quote unquote perfect coverage, or plays where no player is making a coverage mistake on their EP plays. Now, that could be according to a few things, Nick. It could be perfect coverage because you're facing really good defensive backs, or a really good defensive scheme that's playing within it, was playing with good communication and in sync. Or it could be that your wide receivers are not getting open on time, or it could be a combination of all three things. But regardless of those three things at play, Jaxson Dart has been really freaking good when it comes to making plays and having, you can see it right here. Perfect coverage faced. He's all along the right side. I think he's faced the fourth. It looks like the fifth most plays of all quarterbacks with perfect coverage. And for those reasons I described. And then as far as the EPA goes on the plays where he's faced perfect coverage, literally only Patrick Mahomes has been better than him.
Yeah, exactly. He's right up there. And you can see his fellow rookie, Cam Ward, is all the way down at the bottom when it comes to the EPA portion of it. Yeah. So it's this is a rookie quarterback we're talking about, a rookie quarterback that has faced a lot of adversity. And people don't want to hear too much of this, and I understand why, but Brian Daboll does deserve a lot of credit for this as well, as does Mike Kafka, right? But there's a lot of other reasons why we shouldn't be as excited about this coaching staff, which Dan and I have discussed ad nauseum to this point, and we will continue to discuss. But here's another chart.
One more thing on that before we go to this one, though. You can leave this up. It's fine. Yeah. On that point, I think it does coincide with and flow into the point we were making before, which is no wonder you see Patrick Mahomes up there and then Jaxson Dart next on that perfect coverage rates, because those plays where they are facing perfect coverage, they have a high EPA because they're getting out of the pocket and then they're creating something outside of structure. You see it now with Mahomes. I feel like, and I know you've watched, you're like me, you watch every single Island game. I feel like Mahomes is getting back to old Mahomes right now, where it just feels like he drops back, he either throws it on script or it's not there, and he does his little thing, and then he just finds his guy again, and he's just like seeing the field as well as he did. And that was always what made Mahomes the most elite quarterback in my mind. That ability to just kind of maneuver out of bad script where it just didn't look perfect, or you didn't feel like you could make the throw on time, and then find something with your innate ability to understand space downfield. So it's just really cool for me to see that EPA all the way up there when he's facing what is quote unquote perfect coverage. Yeah, and that's a big credit, obviously, to Jaxson Dart, just because the coverage is there and there are answers to the coverage, and he's finding a lot of them as well. And then this chart goes right alongside that other one, because this is just quarterbacks that excel at creating plays outside of structure. And for the podcast audience, Jaxson Dart is the highest on this chart, with an EPA of, that would be, I think, the third best, just behind Patrick Mahomes and Sam Darnold, if I'm not mistaken here. But Dart and Mahomes, they're out of structure much more than a player like Sam Darnold, who plays within the confines of that Seahawks offense. So you're talking about a player who is out of structure a lot, and not just that, he has a positive EPA in doing that. That's very impressive, let alone for a rookie. Yeah, I think what's really cool about this is that I think, if I'm reading the chart right, that's just pure EPA per drop back on the bottom axis. So that means that Dart is third in the NFL in EPA per drop back, if I'm reading this right. And then create rate, which is the, I don't know, Y or X, I'm an idiot, but the left axis, we'll call it because I'm dumb, is Jaxson Dart leading the NFL with a 22% create rate. And create rate is a FTN stat, and it's a really good one. It's how many plays have you created outside of structure? Now, we probably don't want long-term Jaxson Dart to be at a 22%. We don't want 22% of his plays to be created out of structure, but it's not like a death knell, right? Like we have Patrick Mahomes all the way up at 17%. Drake May, 18%. These are the two of the best quarterbacks so far in the NFL, probably 1 and 2 when it comes to all the numbers, the advanced stats and the raw stats. Mahomes and May this year. Those are the best quarterbacks in the NFL. We have Jaden Daniels at 20% create rate. We have Josh Allen at 19% create rate. Baker Mayfield, 17% create rate. These are all the best quarterbacks essentially in the NFL. Really, I mean, who are we missing? Anyone? Justin Herbert? Like these are all some of the those are some of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and they're doing a great job creating out of structure. So I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing for him to be that high either.
No, neither do I. This is look, right now the New York Giants, and they've been down in some of these games. So Jaxson Dart has been throwing a lot, especially this last week, and he was creating a lot out of structure in against the Philadelphia Eagles 2.0. So some of that allows him to get out of structure, but the EPA is still high, and that's again, like you said, EPA per dropback. So, man,
right.
Rookie quarterbacks being able to put up these types of stats, it's catching the eye of the analytics world, but also, as we've seen, opponents of Jaxson Dart and future opponents of Jaxson Dart, they're praising Dart too. And these are professionals like Kyle Shanahan. As we said, we had Nick Bonito come out after the Broncos game and after the tiff that he had with the Giants fan base. I don't want to say praise Jaxson Dart, but he had kind words to say about Jaxson Dart's play and said, yeah, look, they really showed up and they were better than we expected. And we just got to continue to see if the Giants can maintain that. And obviously overcoming what the Giants, look, the Giants, man, they were this team that ran a lot of 12 personnel early, but not as much as they do now. But the fulcrum of the offense was surrounded by Malik Neighbors. Like that was what you wanted to do. Like, let's get Malik Neighbors the ball. They're removing Malik Neighbors. We will find other options. Malik Neighbors goes down. They come into this power running type of approach now, right?
Yep.
Now you don't have Cam Scatterbo. Tyrone Tracy Jr. isn't a power running type of back. I'm sure the Giants will still rely heavily on 12 personnel, probably condensed sets, and they're going to give Tyrone Tracy Jr. a decent amount of carries, and I'm sure Singletary will work in there, but none of those players will be able to do what Cam Scatterbo just did, basically, with the power running approach, because he fits so perfectly into what the Giants curtailed their offense to be. But at the end of the day, right now, Dart is going to try to basically run his third separate iteration of this Mike Kafka offense in just 5-6 weeks because of the injuries the Giants have suffered.
Such a great point. It's scary.
Dude, like Malik Neighbors, Malik Neighbors was the fulcrum, went down. Now we're gonna remove the quarterback. Obviously, the second, like Cam Scatterbo was the fulcrum of the offense once they went to this power rushing attack. Yeah. It wasn't Darius Slayton. It wasn't Theo Johnson. It was Cam Scatterbo, and now he really was. So, and we saw what he did. He basically rendered Tyrone Tracy Jr. to be this guy who just played like 25, 28% of the snaps, and sometimes with Cam Scatterbo out there, the identity of the offense was Cam Scatterbo. Yep. He's no longer a thing, unfortunately, for the New York Giants this season because of that devastating injury. So now what are the Giants going to do with Jaxson Dart and Darius Slayton and the 12 personnel package? And it's just like, I'm not sure if he can continue to impress. It's like, that's going to be something that we can hold in our back pockets as Giant fans and be like, at least we got this guy, right? And we're already at that point. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but this is, we would have all signed up for this, I think, not the season, but Dart's play at the beginning of the year. Is that correct? Would you say?
Beyond correct. I don't think I don't even know if I could have projected this. I couldn't have projected him to be this good as a rookie. And that would be, I couldn't have projected him to be this good as a rookie if he had Neighbors and Scatterbo. The fact that he's this good as a rookie without Neighbors and Scatterbo, there's no way I could have ever predicted this. And I would have signed up for this 1,000 times. And, some Giants fans who are probably seeing the forest through the trees or of the trees, I think it finally is. I might get that right for the 17th time, getting it wrong, I should say. I would probably say, like, we were never winning a Super Bowl anyway this year. So I would take this over the Giants grinding to like 9-7. That's not how it is. 9-8 with Russell Wilson. And let's say Russell Wilson won 3 games early and we started 2-0. Well, we're in the playoff hunt the whole year, but we grind to 9-8 and then losing the wild card. I think a lot of Giants fans would tell you that they would rather the season go like this, 2-6, but Jaxson Dart looking the way he's looking and playing the way he's playing, than that 9-8 Russell Wilson outcome. I got to be honest with you. I'm probably on board with them, to be quite frank, because then he gets this experience and he wouldn't have got the experience otherwise. It would have been more fun for us, obviously, during the year. And I get it, like short term, it's way better to be 9-8. But long term, Jaxson Dart gets his reps, and Jaxson Dart kind of finds a way to work with what he's got right now.
I agree. I'll say this, though. There
Yeah.
are a lot of other variables that may lead to some decisions that I don't know what those decisions are going to what the cause of those decisions will be. And those decisions are Dable, Shane gone, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but what does that mean for Dart? How does that change Dart, new system, all that? Who's the coach? There's just a lot of uncertainty with the Giants' future due to this struggling start that Jaxson Dart is still thriving within.
Fair. One final note on this, then we'll touch on Dex's comments. If you're looking for pie in the sky, if you're looking for hopium, if you're looking for, a little bit of roster baiting. No, just kidding. You ever heard of that?
I love that. Yeah, roster baiting. Yeah. Was that from the league?
Every single home league auction. It's from the league. Was that from
the league? Yeah, the league is such an underrated show.
I mean, it's so right, though, right? You have your draft, you have your auction draft for me, and then you go home, you look at your roster, you look up and down the roster. I got this guy. It really is like roster. But if you're looking for that type of feel, just think about the first chart we showed, or maybe it was the second one. I think the second chart we showed, which was the fact that despite facing the third most perfect coverage this season, Jaxson Dart has been able to put together EPA that's fourth or third best in the NFL. Now, or I think it's the most perfect coverage. He's been able to put up the third or fourth best EPA. I already forgot the chart. Here it is. Yeah, he's faced the third most perfect coverage. It looks like third or fourth most. And then his EPA is second in the NFL per dropback. Now, you think about that, and you think about the fact that what will it be like if the Giants get Malik Neighbors back for him and maybe add a receiver? Or maybe get lucky and hit on a fourth-round receiver. Like, look at what the Titans are doing right now. I feel like I just watched their tape this week, Nick, for Beyond the Box Score. I kind of like what I definitely like what I see from DK, their rookie wide receiver in the third round. And Ayumanor, like, he's not perfect, but he makes plays too out there. Like, he's an exciting young talent for them to at least be excited about. Like, next year, dude, what if the Giants get Neighbors back and give Dart maybe one or two guys in the middle rounds at the wide receiver position? Third round here, fourth round. We don't have a third round pick. We have to trade down to get that. But like that type of idea, that's what you got to think about. Like for pie in the sky, it's this idea of like Dart's already beating this perfect coverage. Now, what does he do when he actually gets receivers?
What about my guy Gunnar Helm getting out there?
Oh, he looks good. But Jacob Gibbs loves Gunnar Helm. His
film he does.
Phenomenal.
Let's go. Yeah, Gunnar Helm
phenomenal this year.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Chig, but that's an interesting tight end who might be a free agent. I don't think he was signed, right? And I think he's in a contract here.
He is a free agent. Yeah.
Anyways, that doesn't really pertain to the Giants unless the Giants go out and sign him. But that's conversations for another day.
All right.
Let's get into this Dexter Lawrence comments.
Yeah, let's get into these Dexter Lawrence comments. We're going to talk about Dexter Lawrence's response to Carl Banks' call out.
Were you surprised that Carl chose to air those criticisms of your game the way that he did on the podcast as opposed to coming in here or seeking out in the building to talk to you?
Yeah, those are strong words, but that's how you feel.
Does it mean more to you those words mean more that they're coming from him, like a Giant legend? No? Why not?
He's delusional. No.
Yeah, Nick, my initial reaction is this. I really can see this thing from both point of views. I can see it from Dex's point of view. I'll start with that, with his comments that he believes that Carl Banks is delusional. Because Dexter Lawrence is still getting double teamed at a very high rate. So this idea, and I think Carl conveyed it in a certain way that I'm not sure, and I don't want to speak for Carl, but I'm not sure it came out the way that he meant for it to come out, in the sense of like, he's saying they don't respect you. But what Dex is interpreting that as, they don't respect me. How can you say that when I'm getting double teamed this much? That's a sign of respect. But at the same time, I think from Carl's point of view, why I can see it, and this is me interpreting Carl's point of view, it may not be his point of view. I want to make that clear. But from Carl's point of view, it's like, not about if they're still double teaming you. It's about if you're making plays while getting double teamed at the same rate you were. And I think anyone who's watched the tape, and this is not a knock on Dexter Lawrence, he may get frustrated. He's never going to listen to this, but if he did, he may get frustrated at this type of comment. But it's clear and obvious that this dude has been getting double teamed for the last 2 or 3 years. The numbers show it. Last year, he faced the 2 times as many double teams than any defensive tackle, any interior defensive lineman in the NFL. But he still had 9 sacks before getting hurt in a short period of time. Like, he was still to me, it's pretty obvious from the tape, he was much more effective despite getting double teamed last season and the season before that. So I see both point of views. Like, I totally understand why Dex is saying he's delusional, because it's not that opponents aren't respecting him anymore. It's kind of just that he's not making them pay, I guess, for respecting him, or I guess that's how I would interpret it.
Yeah, it's hard to get into other people's heads. I think Dexter Lawrence is just very frustrated right now, being on the New York Giants, but also being on the losing team for what year is this? This is how many years has he been in the NFL? 5, 6, and he's been on a losing team for almost all of them except for that 2022 season. And he is getting double teamed, which he's frustrated about. But I mean, Carl's correct to, I think, chastise Dexter Lawrence's production because the production hasn't been there. The production is not commensurate with the skill set of Dexter Lawrence.
Right.
And that's independent if he's getting double teamed or not, because he's been double teamed his entire career and he didn't have Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeaux playing at this level or Abdul Carter playing next to him. Not producing. I think scheme has to do with it a little bit, but I don't think it's everything because I'm watching the tape. Carl's watching the tape. You're watching the tape. I don't see that same Dexter Lawrence. I still see a good football player. We said that, right? I still see a good football player, but I don't see a guy who I would have went for bat for to be like, this guy should get defensive player of the year if he was on a team that was competent and competitive, right? But he's on the Giants. That's not who we're getting from Dexter Lawrence right now. We're just getting a good defensive lineman. We're getting a good defensive lineman. He's much better than a good defensive lineman. He's the best defensive lineman in the league kind of guy, right? And he's not played up to that this entire season, which is completely fair for Carl to opine on and for Carl to weigh in on as well. But to say the respecting, look, there were plays where I think Dexter Lawrence is also, Brett Toth was blocking him like singularly on a few different plays. And I'm like, well, I expect you to dominate that, to force more double teams that you're already dealing with. And I know I feel like an ass saying that sitting in this chair, but I think Dexter Lawrence is that type of player.
Right.
And you're not really dominating Brett Toth, this kid drafted out of West Point years ago, back in like 2019, 2020. I really feel like you should be. This guy wouldn't be seeing the lineup if they didn't have Cam Jurgens injured, didn't have Landon Dickerson injured in the previous game. So why are you not winning this with ease? And he just kind of hasn't done that the entire year. So I think it's fair what Carl said. Maybe he could have framed it a little bit better, right? I think that's also fair. I understand why Dexter Lawrence is also showing fire, and I'm glad Dexter Lawrence is showing. I'm glad Dexter Lawrence wasn't like, well, I have a lot of it, but I'm glad he's like, nah, screw that. Like I'm the man. I'm glad that Dexter Lawrence handled it that way, and I hope it's just water under the bridge after this week when Dexter Lawrence sacks Brock Purdy 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, he can obviously, we'll see if he plays with that fire under him this week. I'll say this. I think you broke this down almost perfectly. He's still a good player, but we were not expecting, he's led us to believe through his play that he's not a good player in the NFL. He's an elite player. And when you say that, it's true. Like you and I believe this, and I don't want to speak for you, that a really good and impactful interior defensive lineman is worthy of winning defensive player of the year. In my mind, at times over an edge who gets the glorified sack stat, and over a corner for me as well. Because if you have that interior guy like Dex has been in the past, it is so difficult for an offense. Everything starts in the middle. And like, if you want to run in the middle, if you want to drop back and the pocket's getting pushed back into, how many times have we seen in the past Dexter Lawrence absolutely overwhelm a center when lined up over a center, push that pocket right back into the quarterback and the play is dead. We don't see that a lot this year. And part of it is scheme. Like, I don't want to totally, throw that factor out, because it feels like, and I hate to say it, I'm a little disappointed, the beats essentially did. No beat reporter asked about it. And there's plenty of stats that go around. Shout out Giants fan in Charlotte. He's put them out, like, that show the percentage snaps that Dexter Lawrence has been at nose tackle this year versus past years. A good question in that interview would be to ask him about that. For some reason, that was never asked. And it's highly disappointing to me, but it is what it is. I just think it's an easy layup question. And I would have loved to hear what Dex said about that, to be quite honest, because I don't really feel like he likes this scheme from the way he's acted in some of his press conferences after games, and wouldn't blame him for not liking this scheme. This is not the best scheme for him. It's just not. But it's not to say that that's the only reason he struggled this year. And there have been times, like you said, he's been lined up over the center and he's been at nose tackle and he hasn't dominated. There's also been weird stuff. Like, I know you've seen it, Nick, especially in this game. There's been times he's pushed way off the ball on some of these double teams that never used to happen to Dex, man. His anchor never, it didn't matter if you double teamed him. You couldn't just fire him off the ball and get that much that much space in the run game, like we've seen at times this year, specifically against the Eagles this past game. So it just doesn't feel like the same level of Dex. The two questions I have for you before we wrap this up are, one, is this like the start of Dex's downfall as a player? Is he just going to be a good player the rest of his career instead of this elite player? And then two, is his relationship with the Giants becoming irreparable? Because that would just suck so bad if he's just like doesn't want to be on this shitty in his mind, the shitty franchise and shitty team, and he's so sick and tired of the media and all the crap. Like, and somebody who works for the team may be calling him out.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to weigh in there. He does have a Giants tattoo, so I would hope not. But
that's good.
No, yeah, that's good. No, but in all honesty, I think Dexter Lawrence is still Dexter Lawrence, and I think he brushed off anything to do with the elbow. That could be something. Maybe the elbow prevented him from working out as hard as he could have in the offseason. And I'm not sitting here calling him out or calling him lazy or anything like that, but I think that realistically could be a plausible explanation. Maybe he's just in a riff right now, right? Maybe he's just not playing as well as he used to, because he's just in a funk and he can play himself out of that with the and maybe it just really comes down to him just finishing some of these plays. He's gotten close a few times, not as much as we're used to, but he has gotten close a few times. And maybe on Sunday we'll be singing a different tune. As for his relationship with the New York, he does seem dejected. He seems freaking pissed.
Yeah.
I don't know what that spells for Dexter Lawrence. He's still 27 years old. I'm sure there are so many people so many teams, general managers in the NFL who would come call on the New York Giants if he was ever available, but I do not want to do that at all. The Giants don't really have anybody behind him right now. Darius Alexander is coming along slowly, and he has had some encouraging signs. And I don't even think like DJ Davidson and Roy Robertson Harris have been terrible this year,
right?
Other than really their ability to anchor into the ground against double teams. And Dexter Lawrence hasn't really done a good job at that. So it's just like that's kind of a collective defensive line issue right now, where the double teams, specifically last week against the Eagles, just embarrassed the New York Giants. Like that needs to change. But I'm hoping that all this can be assuaged and rectified, and they can have an amicable come together moment between the Giants and Dexter. And maybe there really isn't as much tension. It's just the losing that really is leading to this, and the comments from Carl Banks. Like, for all I know, Dexter Lawrence might love living in Northern Jersey and maybe not playing for the Giants because they suck, but love the Giants organization and the ownership and all of that and the facilities and whatnot.
And let me make one thing clear where I stand on it, at least, because I know some people have talked about this as well. I have a less than 1% interest in possibly trading Dexter Lawrence, because I know some people have brought that up. Here's why. I think the best they would get at this stage, he's only 27 years old, but just knowing how the NFL views nose tackle type players, and just knowing the trade market and how the best I think they would get back is a late to mid first at best. So what are we talking about? A Deonte Banks type prospect or some shit like that? I don't want that crap. I don't even want like a Jordan Addison for Dexter Lawrence. So I just want to keep Dexter Lawrence on my team.
Same here. Because honestly, if the Giants hire a new coaching staff, the Giants could turn it around very quick. I want a 28-year-old Dexter Lawrence playing, presumably in his prime, on that team, right? And he is a huge selling point to a defensive coordinator, bringing him here with all the other fun pieces that the New York Giants have. Now, I wanted to just ask you this, because I see it going around Twitter. What about Kayvon? Because I have no interest in trading Kayvon Thibodeaux right now. What say you?
No interest in trading Kayvon Thibodeaux. Again, not a situation where I think they'd get more than kind of that late first back for him.
Dude, he's like a 24-year-old. He just turned 24?
Right.
He's a young player who is playing the best football we have seen, and I still think there is more to unlock with Kayvon Thibodeaux. And he's I don't know. I don't think he has that same man, screw it. Like, Kayvon has a certain reputation, right? Some people think he's arrogant. Like, even with all of this losing, I don't see Kayvon throwing people under the bus. Like, he's talking to the media and he's doing his thing. And I don't I think he could have a very positive future here and be an asset for the New York Giants moving forward.
We just need the field to change, man. It just sucks because these guys are living in such a bad feel. It's just a constant revolving every season of we're down to 1-5, we're now at 2-6. And it's like all the negativity that comes with all of that. It changes the whole feel. So it does probably feel for Kayvon like, shit, I've been part of this franchise doesn't feel great to be a part of right now. I just know that if this franchise was winning, he would be at the forefront of the positivity. That's the thing. There's some guys who I know, or you probably know, or have the suspicion, because we don't know because the Giants are not good and haven't been good, but we have a suspicion that if things were going well, they would be such good fits for the culture in the locker room. He's one of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he's still so damn young too. I don't want to part ways with that and say no, I'm not.
And I don't care about the stats. Look, we're not. I know we got some crap from a couple people last episode. It's just going to be how it goes in general with football analysis. We're not dismissing the importance of sacks, but what we are saying is when we take the time to watch the tape of this team every week, we're coming to you with our analysis from the tape. You can take it or you can leave it and go somewhere else. But from the tape, sacks are just not the be-all, end-all of football analysis for a defensive lineman. When you actually watch the tape and you see every single rep, their impact in the run game and what they're doing there plays a huge role over what are their total sacks. And then the pressures that create either incompletions or force the quarterback to throw off script or anything like that also plays a role. Sacks are important too, right? They stop drives, they kill drives. They really are. They're the number one important thing I'll even give you, but they're just not the be-all, end-all.
Well, a lot of this is because of Abdul Carter. Is that why you're saying?
No, because Kayvon sacks are down, and I saw people when I talked this week about now I want to trade him, like, what do you want to trade him? He had this many sacks in his blah, blah, blah year, and now he has this many sacks, so he's regressing. I'm like, if you think he's regressing as a player just because his sack total is down, you're simply not watching the tape, and that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, no, that's silly. Kayvon Thibodeaux, 25 pressures this year, I think, right? 6 hits, 13 hurries. I just pulled it up, and he's been a force in the run game as well.
Yep.
And dude, like, I think the same conversation can be had with Abdul Carter, because I hear a lot of people like, when is Abdul Carter going to have an impact? I'm like, Abdul Carter has 32 pressures right now. He's like top 10 in pressures, top 10 in hurries, top 10 in quarterback hits. Abdul Carter is having a massive impact. It's a shame that the NFL is not talking about Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeaux, because if this coaching staff could get out of their own way, if this team could get out of their own way collectively, these guys would feast, because they're already feasting, and yet people are being like, oh man, they look really freaking hungry out there. Oh, right. Why aren't they feasting at all? What's going on? No, dude, they're getting after it. It's just not translating quite yet to wins, which is very frustrating, because one of the most successful ways you can win football games is to build a successful pass rush that can pin their ears back and get after it. But usually you need a competent defensive coordinator to maximize that. We do not have that. And I would contend that the entire operation is faulty, because the Giants just seem to be cursed and can't win in tight games, which reflects very poorly on Brian Daboll and really Joe Schoen and the entire operation in general.
For sure on that front. I think, but schematically, it plays a huge role. Like, I just think this defense will be so much better in an odd front. I know it. I think it. I feel it. I've seen it with Wink Martindale. Put Dexter Lawrence over the nose most of the snaps. You have edge guys. You can play Kayvon inside as well, and then you have your 2 edge guys. It's just a better feel. They haven't been able to do it, or they don't do it with Shane Bowen. He plays his scheme. He runs his shit. I mean, I'm even watching, like, I watch who was I watching a cut up of today? I'm trying to remember some defensive coordinator who I'm like, it's not even known for doing, or no. The Ravens, they do have a good defensive coordinator. They've essentially recreated their defense was horrible this year, and now it's getting better. They've got a little healthier. But I watched Ben Solak break it down. They recreated the role for Kyle Hamilton in season. He's gone from playing safety to not playing safety at all. He's either playing in the box or at edge now. And it's just like so cool to have a defensive coordinator that will like look to his board, look to his players, look to his personnel, and change something like that so drastically in season to try to gain an advantage. We don't have that. He's not doing that at all. He's never done that here, Shane Bowen. And it's a big problem. Like, you can't, you can run your guys out there and trot them out, and they're going to have some good games because we got a lot of talent. But then when the talent starts to get injured, like we are now with our secondary, we're going to have games like the last one. We give 30-something to the Eagles or whatever it is, because the talent can't do when the talent's injured and we don't have depth, you need to start to think of stuff as a coordinator, right? Like, there's no way you can tell me that Shane Bowen can't come out and do something interesting like Wink Martindale did that first week against the Titans and play that kind of front and really get in there and be like, we're going to stop the run this game, and we're going to have Dex over your center the entire game.
No, there's a lot of change that would have to happen to his defensive structure, and he's just not that. Like, dude, he's not creative. He's
not willing to make that change.
Yeah, and I don't think he really knows how to functionally change that and be able to teach and inculcate that onto the players in such a short amount of time either. Like, I think that is something that a very good teacher, very good communicator, a very adept defensive mind can do. I just don't really think he is that. Now, he's that for being a defensive. He is that obviously relative to idiots like me, but this is a defensive coach. He's a defensive coordinator in the National Football League. You know what I mean? Like, when you compare him with all of his contemporaries, he's not any of those things. He's on the lower fourth of that for sure.
At best on the lower fourth,
right?
Yeah.
So
total disaster, and he's had 2 years now. That's the type of guy who should get a year and be done.
And you best believe, and we'll probably transition into the 49ers preview. You want to do that? Because you best believe Kyle Shanahan is going to overload certain parts of the line of scrimmage, and he is going to look for Darius Muasau as the will to be that cutback player. And Muasau is going to have to fit that because the Eagles abuse the Giants with that big offensive tackle. They don't even have to go big offensive tackle because they have George Kittle. If they want to stay in 12, they could just do it with 12, right? George Kittle and then Tonjes.
They're going to hit us with play action off of it.
And they're going to hit us with play action off of it. And Okereke and Muasau are going to be scrambling, and Muasau's got to protect that bat. Like the Giants defense, and we talked about it a lot against the Eagles, they were so undisciplined. I can only imagine what Kyle Shanahan is going to draw up to force the consternation and the second guessing for players like Muasau. And then Okereke is going to get blamed for stuff that he's probably not even faulty for. Nubin is going to be faced with Christian McCaffrey in the alley, and he's going to blow that. We're all going to go crazy. So the Giants, man, I would say with Brock Purdy coming back, I would go with a more heavier approach, man, defensive. I would try to gap out.
I like that.
And this is what they did towards the end of last season against the Saints when we thought Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry were going to rush for 200 yards against a weak Giants team without Dexter Lawrence, but they were both kept in check. Now, Lamar threw for 5 touchdowns, okay, and the Saints did their thing, and that Carr didn't do that much. But regardless, the Giants, they need to stop the run. And I think in order to do that, you got to roll out more odd, because it's not like Bowen doesn't use odd fronts certain occasions. We've seen him do it several times this year, 5-man fronts. And I think that's what the Giants might have to do against this team. But Shanahan is going to create extra gaps to one side. And I don't know if the linebackers and the second level defenders are going to be capable enough to flow and scrape and
flow and feel. Yeah, they can't flow and feel these. It's a fact of matter. It's like almost like a talent issue. There's no way to fix this at this point, really. It's just like 2022. It feels like we're living in a fucking simulation here, Nick. We're like, we said the same shit in 2022.
Yeah, but Okereke can. Okereke's issues right now is he's a little bit just slower. I just don't think he's as athletic as he was 2 years ago, right? But I still think it's
to an extent.
I still think he's here. I still think he's mentally there, though, right? Like I don't really see Okereke out of position a ton.
No,
like this season, I haven't really seen him out of position a ton. I've seen Muasau out of position a lot.
Yeah,
and
I'd love to see them try something else, by the way, over Muasau. Maybe this is the game where they just give someone else a chance. They don't have anyone to give a chance to, but
Sways Bozeman?
Assholes. Yeah, I guess Bozeman. Like, it's just a joke what they've done at linebacker. It's an absolute joke. The roster building at a linebacker is really embarrassing from the Giants. And I know they got unlucky with McFadden injury. Injuries happen in the NFL. The Giants aren't the only team to lose a linebacker this year, but the Giants are the only team to lose a linebacker and then have nothing behind that linebacker. That is true.
Neville Hewitt time. Let's do it.
Like, find anyone who could play the position better than Muasau. Like, this guy doesn't play the position well at all, and he's not athletic. It's a terrible combination. No instincts to play the position and not athletic. It's horrible, dude.
I still love a good night out, but I'm not always in the mood to drink. Luckily, Sol's out-of-office gummies are available, and they're a game changer. They give you that same light, happy buzz you get from a drink, but without the hangover, the extra calories, or that foggy next morning. Just calm, relaxed, and social, the perfect way to unwind after a long day. Sol is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. They make delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products that help you relax, boost your mood, and just feel good in your own skin. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies are designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz that helps you chill out, get creative, or just take the edge off. And they come in 5 strengths, from a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their new 15 milligram gummy for when you want something a little more elevated. So bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Sol today. Right now, listeners get 30% off your entire order. Just go to getsol.com and use promo code BANTER. That's getsol.com, promo code BANTER for 30% off.
Before we get on to a quick preview, I do want to give these 2 quotes, and we could just move past them, but I want to say them. Yeah. Andre Patterson, he took exception to the idea that Lawrence isn't the same player in the past. He says, call our opponents, call everybody we play and ask them if Dexter Lawrence is still playing like Dexter Lawrence. There's no other D lineman in this league that gets as many double teams as he does. Not even close. He's right about that. He gets them on passing downs. The reason that Burns is getting the production he's getting and Abdul is getting the production he's getting is because they're putting 2 players on decks. So we got 2 guys getting one-on-ones because they're putting 2 players on decks. And so as a football player, what he does on Sundays, he's playing like Dex. Not a bad point about what his impact on these double teams is doing for these other players, regardless of if he's fighting through the doubles.
Yeah, that exactly. But like, I don't think that's anything that, like, that's not news to you or I.
Not to us. And then Bobby Okereke says, I mean, as an in-house guy, maybe it's like a coded message where he's trying to light a fire under Dex. You know what I mean? He's talking about, Okereke's talking about Carl Banks' comments. But for a guy who works in-house, it doesn't take much to find a guy and have a conversation with him one-on-one or get his phone number and call him. So I don't necessarily think there's any ill intentions with it. Maybe he's just trying to light a fire or in his own way motivate Dex. But Dex, like I said, is an incredible pro. And if anyone needs to be critical of his play, I think I'd be the first one. I think he'd be the first one to step up and do it if it's necessary. So I think Dex is doing a great job. Incredible leader for us. He inspired us, blah, blah, blah. I mean, look, the fact that Okereke is talking about this is not a great sign. Like, it just seems like unnecessary drama for the Giants. But, you know, regardless of that, in the end, these dudes have to be pros, right? They can't be letting this get to them.
I agree. And it's interesting because Carl is called a lot of things on X by a lot of Giant fans, right? And Carl usually doesn't challenge the players publicly. And he felt the need to do it after that Eagles game, maybe after seeing Toth on a few plays, like get the best of him. Now, there were plays where Toth got backed into the pocket by Dexter Lawrence as well. Like, I don't want to, you know, devalue that, but that's the expectation. You know, that's like what we all would hope to happen if those guys ever faced each other one-on-one. I think you laid it out well, Dan. You could see it from both perspectives here, Carl Banks and Dexter Lawrence. I don't know. Like, yes, it is drama that the Giants are dealing with right now, but the Giants are 2-6 again. For how many times? And Banks, he's not somebody who's ever unfair. I feel like he is fair with his assessment, meaning he's not going to throw people under the bus. And he felt the need, based on the film and what he's watched, that Dexter Lawrence is not playing to Dexter Lawrence's potential. So he acknowledged it on his podcast with Bob Papa, Believe in Giants. I don't really think there's anything wrong with that either, dude. And I think it's just like, look, this is my perspective. Go for it. Work for the team. It is what it is. This isn't something that Carl does too often. And I think being what we do, watch the tape, Carl's onto something there too. So I definitely see it from both perspectives. I'm glad Dex responded the way he responded. And again, I just hope this is water under the bridge after a good game against the 49ers.
Yeah, completely agree with you on that. Everything you said there. All right, real quick, a little bit of a preview. 49ers, you talked a little bit about it just a few minutes ago with your concern about the Giants' run defense and then how Kyle Shanahan will be able to marry the run game to the play-action passing game. To give you a little bit of an update, we're still unsure if Brock Purdy will be playing in this game or Mac Jones. Purdy is just dealing with a nasty turf toe injury, and it seems like every week it's just a debate if he's going to play or not. I think we're going to get another week of no Pearsall. This dude is just also, I have him in fantasy. It's so annoying. I have him in fantasy. This dude went from, I got a little bit of a knee injury. I traded for him the week before he got hurt, which is so freaking aggravating. It's beyond belief, Nick, but that's besides the point. And so I don't know if he'll even play in this game. So Juwan Jennings has been playing through these like 2-3 broken ribs and a knee injury, but he's playing pretty good. Again, Kittle's back, which sucks for us, obviously. And McCaffrey is 8th in the NFL in receiving, not just among running backs, overall 8th in receiving. He is going to be a matchup nightmare for the linebackers that we have in this defense, trying to stop Christian McCaffrey in the passing game. So it's a bad game matchups wise for the Giants defense.
Yeah, it's a bad game matchups wise. I don't really know exactly what they're going to do offensively. I'm imagining it's going to be a similar type of approach, only less effective without Cam Scatterbo. So we're going to see a lot of, I think, a diverse rushing attack again. I think they're going to lean on the run and try to punish a beat up front. Like, they're beat up. I haven't seen the injury report yet for Thursday, but they missed a decent amount of those front 7 players for Robert Saleh. And I don't know if even the guys like D Winters, who's the backup to Fred Warner, is going to play in this game. And it's going to put some young players in a linebacker that the Giants might be able to exploit. This is not the 49ers defense from a talent perspective that we're used to seeing, but Robert Saleh is there. And Robert Saleh is a pretty, I would say, a high quality defensive minded and defensive coordinator. But this defense they're like middle of the pack to bottom third of the league in some of their statistics, like their total yards surrendered and scoring. I think they're a little bit better, but so this is going to be a matchup that I think the Giants might be able to move the football against. But again, the identity of the offense is something that I question. I hope the Giants will be able to generate some explosive plays. I'm a little iffy on the weather. I want to get a weather report on what's exactly going to happen because it's a little nasty right now. But
it looks good for Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, if it looks good for Saturday, Sunday, that's solid. But
do you ever need to know forward weather? Just ask me during this time of year. I'm just always looking for golf possibilities. So I just look at the weather report basically daily. Go ahead.
What is it going to be tomorrow for Halloween, bud?
Not good. Another
Not
rainy
good.
day. Yeah.
Another rainy day. All right. Yeah, no. So they were going to see a slightly different offensive approach, but not really. Maybe they will lean a little bit more on play action and RPOs, but they already do that with Jaxson Dart.
So I'll say this, Nick. Two things. One, Robert Saleh is an amazing defensive coordinator, one of the best in the NFL. And 2 weeks ago, when he was dealing with similar amount of injuries, he found a way to come up with an amazing defensive game plan to dominate the Falcons. With that said, Michael Penix was A, playing hurt, and B, Michael Penix has just struggled this year. He's had some high points and moments, but he has been really bad at times, and he's just really bad at getting past his first read and really bad at dealing with pressure. The stats all bear it out. So I don't really give him too much of a tip of the hat. And then I watched the entire film of the Stroud Texans against the 49ers to be on the box score this week. So I saw every snap of what it was kind of eye-opening. The Texans have been a disgustingly bad offense with a disgustingly bad offensive line, and yet out of nowhere, CJ Stroud kind of in some ways lit them up, and they got some room in the run game. Here's what they did, Nick, and here's what the Giants are going to have to do. They used Woody Marks as an extension of their run game in the passing game, so the Giants are going to have to find a way to use Tracy as an extension of the run game. And they used a ton of 3-by-1 sets with bunch stack formations to one side. And that was really confusing for the 49ers defense. These bunch formations were creating this easy separation and easy options for CJ Stroud in the passing game. They also hit them on a couple deep overs and deep posts where the 49ers defense looked pretty undisciplined. There were a busted coverage touchdown in the red zone for what's that kid from Iowa State, Jaden Higgins. So that was just bad defense. Yeah. Yep. And so this defense did not look good. Yes, they pieced it together against the Falcons 2 weeks ago, but this defense looked really bad, really bad again. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is we figured the Giants going to use more 12, right? I think the 49ers best personnel package is their nickel, where you get Upton Stout out there, you get Malik Mustafa out there, and you get Jair Brown out there. So will the 49ers feel comfortable enough in their nickel? I think they will, in their nickel personnel with all those injuries against the Giants 12 personnel package. That I think is going to be a fun chess match, because the 49ers, look, dude, they got injuries along their defensive line as well. They have Alfred Collins. We liked him coming out of Texas a few years ago.
Did not practice.
Sam Okuyowanu and Robert Beal Jr. are playing a lot of edge snaps behind Michael Williams and Trevis Gibson. And then they have Kalia Davis as one of their main defensive linemen. I don't know too much about Kalia Davis, but I do know there are a lot of backups who are forced, a lot of depth from the 49ers are forced to play a lot of snaps. And their secondary, I like their safeties, I do, but their secondary, and I love Upton Stout. Loved Upton Stout coming out of school this past year. He was one of my guys going into the draft. You have Renardo Green and Diamador Lenore as their starting cornerbacks. I'm not sure if Lenore is on the injury report. I had to check that out. But those are respectable guys, but guys that I think like Darius Slayton can win against, right? Yeah. Guys that I think Wan'Dale Robinson can win against. So this isn't the same exact suffocating defense that the Giants have used to seeing. And the Giants have this more exciting offense, even without Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterwood, just because they have the presence of Jaxson Dart. So it really just comes down to, can the Giants defense stop Christian McCaffrey and that rushing attack, and how well it's going to be devised and schemed and called and sequenced by Kyle Shanahan and that offensive staff. That's where I'm a little tentative.
Yeah, and you mentioned their injuries. I mean, Bryce Huff did not practice. That's their best pass rusher. Gross Matos did not practice. Alfred Collins did not practice in their most recent practice report. Upton Stout, who you mentioned, was limited practice. Maybe he'll play, maybe he won't. They traded for Keon White. Don't know if he'll be ready. Hasn't been that great. So they are really banged up on the defensive side of the ball of the 49ers going into this game. And I'm with you. I think the Giants often can find a lot of success here, given the weather, if it holds up, and I think it will.
And it's the second road game. Like, they went to Houston and now they got to travel across the country to New York, where you said that the weather's going to be a little bit better, but that's something that the Giants could look to exploit. Now it's just, do I trust Brian Daboll and this coaching staff to defeat Kyle Shanahan? And this is a really important game. I think the 49ers are third in their division. They're 5-3 and they're third in their division because the Rams had a bye and so did the Seahawks. Both those teams are 5-2. So this is a vital game after they lost a winnable matchup in Houston against the Texans. They got to be hungry. This is I don't want to say it's a must-win game for them, but they need to win this football game.
Yeah. So did the Giants, obviously, just to keep the pressure off.
The Giants have had to win a lot of football games in recent memory. How'd that go for them?
Yeah, let's get to some predictions. And so last week we were both off. We both predicted a low-scoring game. We were right that the Eagles would win. We were wrong that it would be low-scoring. This week, I look at the matchup, Nick, and I think that it's going to be an exciting, fun game for Giants fans to watch. I think we're going to get a lot of offense out of Jaxson Dart, despite losing Cam Skattebo and having no Malik Neighbors. Just trust Dart at this point, and I trust Andrew Thomas in that line against this really, really beat up. I mean, their edge rushers, in my mind, if this game, like 8 out of 10 times this game is played with the current talent they have, the 49ers at edge, it should just be like these no pressure plays where Dart just has all day in the pocket. I just don't see these edges winning these matchups at all, unless Illuminor is really badly hurt. And I don't know about that because he obviously played a little hurt last game, didn't look his best. But as long as Illuminor holds up as we've seen him prior to last game, I think it's going to be one of those games where these dudes just can't do anything from an edge pressure standpoint. Now, interior, we've been better there. We've communicated better there. So I think that'll be fine too. So I think we're going to get a lot of scoring. I think it's going to be exciting. I don't think we're going to stop them much on defense, though. So I'm predicting. I kind of feel like the Giants win this football game. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I love that.
Yeah, because they're the type of team that just wins games they're not expected to win when they're down and out like this
they're at
one.
home.
And they're at home where they've been better this year. Yeah. And I don't think this 49ers defense, like watching them lose to the Texans the way they lost that game, it was just odd, man. Like the Texans offensive line is horrifically bad. You should be able to tee off on them at all times. And the 49ers were not able to. So I think the Giants win this game 31-30.
Yes, I love that call, man. I'm hoping that you are correct. I can see a path for that. I would like to know or see how Saleh changes up his blitzing, because they are one of the lowest blitzing teams. And with the lack of edges, do you blitz Jaxson Dart more? Is that even in your interest? Because Jaxson Dart has been so efficient against the blitz. So there's a lot of questions that go into that as well. This is a defense that's just as beat up as the New York Giants, if not maybe even more. So the Giants need, I would say definitely
more, way more.
No Fred Warner, no Nick Bosa.
No team is more beat up on defense than this team. No Bosa, no Huff, no Warner. They have nothing.
All right. My prediction for the game, Dan, I'm going to go with 20. I'm going to go 27-24 New York Giants.
Okay, you heard it here. Dan and Nick predicting wins for the New York Giants against a team that has a really good record in the San Francisco 49ers, and a must-win game for them after losing last week. We don't care. The Giants are the type of team that can do this type of stuff. They did it against the Eagles earlier. They did it against the Chargers as well this year. Both games were at home, where the Giants have actually become a better team. They used to be a road team. Now they're a home team again, apparently, at least in the start of this Jaxson Dart era. Thank you so much for listening to Big Blue Banter Podcast. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. We need you to hit the like button. Please leave comments in the section, but please also check out Chat BCC. This is your time, and this is our time for us to get going in a group chat. It's just like with your friends. You know how a lot of people, I have a lot of you guys text me on a weekly basis or DM me like, yo, I was talking about this with my group chat, or when that play happened, our group chat was going off. Well, now you guys in that group chat, or some of you, I hope, can join our group chat, the Big Blue Banter group chat, the one with Nick, myself, and you guys. It's BigBlueBanter.chat. Just type into your browser either on desktop or on your phone. BigBlueBanter.chat. That'll take you to a series of steps, and there are only 1 or 2 steps. It's really quick. You can click a link, it gets you right to the app. It downloads. You click into it. You join our chat, and now you're in the Big Blue Banter chat. We hope to see a lot of you starting today. When you listen to this, we'll keep plugging this moving forward. I want to build this chat out. And remember, if you do join the chat, eventually very soon we will be doing a giveaway for Giants tickets later this season. So you'll get to go to a game for free. So please join the chat. Please leave a comment, like and subscribe. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.